Welcome to our channel, your trusted news aggregator bringing you the most important stories all in one place. We save you time and deliver verified information so you can stay informed. Hit that subscribe button and like this video right now. Breaking news from the Caribbean. The United States military seized its 7th Venezuelan-linked oil tanker in less than 6 weeks. The vessel, Motor Vessel Sagitta, was apprehended without incident on Tuesday morning, January 20th, 2026. According to U.S. Southern Command, the Sagitta was operating in defiance of President Trump's established quarantine of sanctioned vessels. This marks a dramatic escalation in one of the most controversial military campaigns in recent American history. This isn't just about one ship. This is about control of one of the world's largest oil reserves and control of an entire nation's economic future. The seizures began December 10th, 2025. Since then, American forces have captured 7 tankers, 6 in the Caribbean and 1 in the North Atlantic. Each operation has been swift and executed without resistance. The Sagitta is Liberian flagged, owned by Sun Co. Limited, a Hong Kong-based company. The vessel was sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury in 2022 under an executive order related to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The ship's last location transmission was over 2 months ago when it exited the Baltic Sea. Subscribe and hit that like button. We're just getting started. On January 3rd, U.S. Special Forces conducted a pre-dawn raid in Venezuela, capturing President Nicolás Maduro and his wife. They were transported to New York, where they faced drug trafficking charges. Both have denied all allegations. The capture of a sitting head of state sent shockwaves globally. Questions of sovereignty and international law dominated headlines. But the Trump administration's message was clear. Venezuela's oil belonged to American interests. American companies heavily prospected Venezuelan oil in the early 20th century. By 1971, Venezuela nationalized its oil industry. In 2007, President Chavez expropriated assets from foreign companies. The Trump administration views this as theft. Legal experts consider such claims a violation of Venezuelan sovereignty. President Trump stated the United States will run Venezuela and control its oil indefinitely. Secretary of State Marco Rubio emphasized the U.S. will maintain an oil quarantine. The Trump administration has made clear that any Venezuelan oil sold globally must be coordinated through American channels. Proceeds from sales will be deposited into U.S.-controlled bank accounts. Last week, the first sale under this system was completed, valued at approximately $500 million. Trump told reporters the U.S. has already moved 50 million barrels out of Venezuela. Trump met with oil executives to discuss a $100 billion investment in Venezuela's oil infrastructure. The reception was lukewarm. Subscribe to our channel. We bring you crucial updates every day. The Trump administration frames the seizures as enforcement of existing sanctions. But legal experts ask, can economic sanctions be enforced through military action? Using naval forces to seize civilian vessels traditionally requires consent from the flag state, a UN Security Council resolution, or a state of war. None apply here. The vessels fall into 2 categories. Some are under direct U.S. sanctions. Others are part of a shadow fleet. Unregulated ships that disguise their origins to move oil from sanctioned producers. They turn off tracking systems, transfer cargo at sea, and constantly change flags. The Sagitta fits this profile. Going dark for 2 months is a hallmark of shadow fleet operations. The seizures send a message to any entity attempting to do business with Venezuela outside American approval. We will find you. We will stop you. Venezuela isn't just about oil. It's about geopolitical influence. Control of Venezuelan oil gives the United States leverage over Cuba. Venezuelan oil has been a critical lifeline for Cuba. By controlling Venezuela's exports, the Trump administration can choke off Cuba's most important resource. Subscribe and give us a like. Your support helps us continue this work. International response has been swift and condemnatory. Multiple Latin American nations called Maduro's capture and oil seizures violations of international law. The OAS held emergency sessions. The UN Human Rights Council issued statements of concern. But words haven't translated into action. No country has intervened militarily. When the world's largest military power makes a move, opposition often remains rhetorical. Within the United States, response has been divided. Trump supporters argue this secures American energy interests. Critics call it imperialism and a dangerous precedent. A Senate resolution to curb Trump's Venezuela efforts was blocked by Vice President Vance and most Republicans. Venezuela holds around 300 billion barrels of proven oil reserves. But decades of underinvestment and sanctions have crippled production. At its peak, Venezuela produced over 3 million barrels per day. Current production is closer to 700,000. Trump has touted these seizures as bringing down global oil prices. But energy analysts are skeptical. Rebuilding Venezuela's infrastructure would take years and massive investment. The precedent concerns international investors. If the United States can seize a country's oil industry through military force, what prevents similar actions elsewhere? Subscribe now to stay ahead of developing news. The 7 seized tankers represent just the visible tip of a larger operation. The U.S. Navy has deployed significant assets, including the USS Gerald R. Ford, USS Iwo Jima, USS San Antonio, and USS Fort Lauderdale. This is the largest American military presence in the Caribbean in decades. Military officials call the campaign Operation Southern Spear. Stated objectives include enforcing sanctions and combating drug trafficking. Critics argue the true objective is economic control. Is this legal under international law? The UN Charter prohibits the use of force against the territorial integrity of any state. Exceptions exist for self-defense and Security Council-authorized actions. The United States hasn't claimed traditional self-defense. The argument centers on sanctions enforcement and combating transnational crime. But unilateral sanctions don't generally provide legal basis for military intervention. If this precedent stands, it would dramatically expand what powerful nations can do to weaker ones. Like this video and subscribe. We're your one-stop shop for breaking news. The first seizure occurred December 10th off Venezuela's coast. Seizures 2 through 5 happened through late December and early January in Caribbean waters. The 6th involved Motor Vessel Veronica, captured January 15th. Then came Bella 1, seized January 7th in the North Atlantic after changing course from the Caribbean toward Europe. U.S. forces tracked it for weeks. Now the Sagitta, number 7. Each seizure normalizes what weeks ago would have seemed extraordinary. Cuba faces a potential energy crisis with Venezuelan oil now controlled by the United States. The Trump administration has been explicit about using Venezuelan oil as leverage against Cuba. Other countries are watching nervously. If the United States can seize Venezuela's oil industry, similar actions could happen elsewhere. Subscribe and like this video to support independent news aggregation. What happens next? The seizures continue and American control becomes total. Resistance emerges from other nations. Or a diplomatic solution is found. Each scenario has profound implications. China has significant investments in Venezuela. Russia has long-standing ties. Neither wants American dominance unchallenged, but neither wants direct conflict. The Venezuelan people remain the story's most important characters. They've endured economic collapse, hyperinflation, and political repression. Whether American intervention improves or worsens their situation is the ultimate measure of legitimacy. Some Venezuelans welcome Maduro's removal. Others view American intervention as sovereignty violation. Show your support with a like and subscribe. The precedent affects international trade and investment security globally. If resources can be seized by military force, what protections exist? Traditional international law would answer sovereignty and treaties. But if those can be overridden by military power, might makes right returns. For the United States, short-term benefits seem obvious, but long-term costs could be significant. Damaged relationships with allies, emboldened adversaries, and erosion of the international system. Trump has framed this as putting America first. Supporters see refreshing honesty. Critics see short-sightedness. We're witnessing a significant moment in international relations. The seizure of the Sagitta and its 6 sister ships represents a test of whether international law can constrain great powers. This story is still developing. More seizures may come. International reactions will evolve. We'll be here, aggregating news and bringing you verified information. This is why our channel exists, to save you time, to provide context, to help you understand what is happening and why it matters. Subscribe right now. Hit that like button. Turn on notifications. The Motor Vessel Sagitta sits in American custody somewhere in the Caribbean. Its seizure marks the 7th chapter in a story redefining international relations in real time. Stay informed and stay tuned for every development. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, and we'll see you in the next update.